blown his whistle and paid a free kick against Nikki Winmar.
Stan Alves is in an invidious position here. He's got to take Nikki Winmar off the ground. He is out of control.
He was so distracted when we were bringing him back. We were just hoping that he might be able to switch on, but it was obviously didn't.
Now, what's happened here? There's a free kick here
against Nikki Winmar again.
Oh, well, come on, Stan. He's got to go off. Well, he's refused to come off, apparently. Nikki Winmar, he's now coming back for another serve.
And Bradley's...
There are times where you've got to make a judgment based on giving that player a chance to do it. And that's what we did.
And they're presumed for another contest, Nikki and Justin Murphy, and...
this is getting to the ridiculous stage, isn't it?
And it is. It's not verging on the ridiculous. It is ridiculous. So...
It was another bleak afternoon for the Saints. Their season in tatters, a favourite sun tainted yet again.
It was the darkest of days for the Saints, and the future of Nikki Winmar hangs in the balance. Good evening. Thanks for joining us on Football Feedback. St Kilda coach Stan Alves will be joining us in just a moment. We'll be discussing yesterday's extraordinary drama, and we have some revealing ground-level footage to study. General Manager of AFL Football Operations, Ian Collins, will also be with us tonight, and we'll be wading through most of the other major issues to emerge from round 20. And my right-hand man, as usual, Dermot Brereton, is here with me. We'll talk about Nikki and yesterday at length a little later on, but just a quick impression from yourself.
It was just an amazing set of circumstances. I have seen it happen once before. Nikki was suspended for taking me on once in a game, and different circumstances, but I've seen him lose it in that capacity before. But it was amazing, and look, I just, wish the best for Nikki, but gee, it's just the kind of things that you shouldn't have going for your career when you're 32, 33 years of age.
Sad day, wasn't it?
It was a bit sad. Yeah, it was sad. Because I think it sort of, to me, it stamped the imprint that we've seen the best of Nikki Winmar. I think most people knew that anyway at that age, but will we see any form of brilliance again, which was quite sad, because he's one of the few footballers left in the code that, if you're a footballing purist, he's one of the guys you do go along to watch and admire, and he gives you a bit of a buzz when he's in full flight.
And speaking of brilliance and providing a buzz, Gary Lyon obviously provided tremendous motivation to the Demons from the sidelines at Football
As always.
Park. Gary, congratulations, welcome.
Yes, I did contribute. I didn't go over it all, Tim. I sat and had to endure what was a pretty tough first quarter. First half, in fact, where we struggled, and our season was
looking disastrous, wasn't it?
It was, and thankfully Warren Tredrake, who I think took 10 marks and had about 8 shots on goal, couldn't find them, and that was the only thing that kept us alive, and our boys were able to regroup at half-time, but it was pretty hard. I was doing it pretty hard in the lounge room.
For the average lounge lizard, what are you like when you're sitting there watching it and your team looks as though it's about to get shellacked?
Yeah, well, it's not something you do too often, but my wife and kids did leave the house for the afternoon, I've got to say, Derm. I did shut the door and put the phone off the hook, and it wasn't too bad, but I was getting a bit, I suppose, scared. I thought, because had we lost...
It could do a lot of damage to your house.
And the kids, had they been there.
Do you actually, when you sit there and watch it on TV, because as the people in the box, the Danaher and staff, see the game there, but you might pick up something off the TV. Do you sit there with a phone through to the coach's box?
No, I didn't, Derm. No, I just sat there with... packet of chips and a glass of Coke. That was it.
All right, okay.
Rohan Connolly, football editor of The Age, is with us as usual. I'm well, Rohan, and I hope you are too. Now, as we speak, I gather a media conference at Fremantle. Do we have the second coaching casualty of the year on our hands?
Well, it appears so. We can't get confirmation quite yet, but there's a press conference starting as we speak in Perth, and it is believed that Jared Neesham may be announcing his resignation there. I think the plan is that he'll coach the last 2 games, but basically, yeah, it'll be formally announced that he'll be standing down as coach. So we'll probably know in about half an hour for sure.
We might talk a little more about that shortly. Let's just run through the winners from round 20. And North Melbourne began it with a thumping of Fremantle, which probably hasn't done the aforementioned chances any good. 104 points. Essendon home from an inaccurate Collingwood. Adelaide, a juggernaut at the moment, 3 70-point wins on the trot.
They're dangerous.
The Bulldogs in a classic out at Waverley on Saturday. Hawthorn off the bottom, clearly now, with that win over Brisbane. Melbourne coming from the dead after half-time. Carlton in that dramatic game at the MCG, and West Coast have squeezed Richmond out of the 8, as we see there. A change at the top, but only a goal in it on percentage between North and the Bulldogs. If Collingwood had had a shot after the siren, he might have kept the Bulldogs on top. Sydney outright third, and then from 4th to 8, separated by just percentage, the Saints from 1st to 7th over the last 6 weeks. Richmond are outside. Their match against Melbourne in round 22 will be crucial. The Blues have climbed to 13th, and Brisbane just about certain wooden spooners now.
We're very much focused on the... what's this?
This is Tribunal tonight. David King has already been up over that. Now, it's an interesting one because he was the tackler and the Shepparder came hard at him.
Yeah, he was always going to get off this. I think what the umpire has seen, and this is after contact, the elbow rises for balance. See, it's tucked in there, I reckon, pretty well, and it rises as contact's made. He was always going to get off that.
Suggested, I heard this evening, on those shepherding ones, is that perhaps the shepherder shouldn't just be able to come head on at the guy who is quite legitimately pursuing the ball carrier. And if that doesn't happen, then you take those collisions out of the game.
Well, how do you define head on, though? Like, I mean, it's...
running away from the ball carrier, is that what you mean? Like the ball carrier's going this way, the bloke on the same team comes past him this way to meet and shepherd somebody off. So really sanitising the game in that regard.
Jeff Miles and Michael Pickering at Waverley Park a few years ago. I suppose that's the one that you'd try and... Well, the chaser legitimately doesn't know he's coming, but it would be a big turnaround if that was to be the case, I would have thought.
I reckon, I have no doubt, I reckon someday that will come in. The way that it's come to about be read at the moment, the interpretation, I have no doubt that will happen.
They might have to write something into the laws about your feet leaving the ground too, don't they?
They might. I thought they had.
They took it out, didn't they, at some stage? Just confirming what Dermy said, David King got off. The deliberation lasted all of about 30 seconds, I gather, so King is available for North Melbourne for their trip to Adelaide and the Crows at Footy Park. What a beauty that's going to be. Tomorrow night, Justin Lepich on a striking charge, and Brisbane could ill afford to lose him.
I know there was a bit of a feeling Winston Abraham might be up on a charge off the video, so I think there's a few eyebrows raised that hasn't been the case. We might ask a few questions about that. We will. We'll have a look at the incident later on. Did you have a quick word you wanted to say about Jared Neesham? We're about to go to a break and then Stan Alves joining us. Actually, more about the latter. I mean, we've focused very heavily on the demise of St Kilda and the Bulldogs in the last few weeks, but I think maybe the story that people have missed is the rise of the interstate teams. You've now got the likelihood of 2 out of the first 4 finals being played interstate. As you can see there, Sydney, Adelaide, West Coast pushing very hard up behind them. And they didn't start the year too well, the interstate clubs, but boy, they're finishing it in better shape.
Adelaide have got a big task ahead of them. I think they've got 2 big games to do. I think you made the point.
I tell you what, if they get there though, guys, I saw them on the weekend and I reckon they'll win it.
Yeah?
I reckon they'll win it.
Most people within clubs seem to think Adelaide will win it.
Yeah,
as it sits, West Coast could be facing their second trip to Adelaide on the first week of the finals in a row. They had to go there last year, and it's not exactly what you'd like to start your finals campaign. Speaking of which, St Kilda are still in there and still hoping to play in them in September. After the break, we'll be speaking live in the studio with their coach, Stan Alves.
Harvey Norman, everyone's a winner. You can win up to $250 cash back with any purchase over $250 from our electrical department. This 59cm LG remote control stereo TV, great value at $799. From Samsung, a 68cm AV stereo TV, a low $995. Pay $1695 for this Philips 68cm stereo TV with teletext, save $200. Go to the movies with a Panasonic rear projection 130cm stereo TV for $5,995. That's $1,000 off. What a deal, up to $250 cash back. Limited offer, so hurry.
Can you imagine this lineup of unsurpassed footballing brains dressed in women's underwear? Ron Garter Barassi, Peter Teddy Donegan, Mark the Hussy Harvey, Billy Bondage Brownless, and AFL Football Operations Manager Ian Collins. Neither can we. That's why on Footy Focus, the focus is on footy. Footy Focus, 7:30 Thursday night on Sports AFL. premieres Sunday.
But I figure you for the kind of guy who goes to the highest bidder.
1,000 in advance.
Nobody's worth that much. We shot some of our guys.
Once it deserved it.
He took a bet each way. Now it's time to pay the price.
Somehow I had the feeling the walls were moving in on me.
Now you've been going back and forth playing both sides. Making yourself a lot of money out of all this.
Who will be left standing in the non-stop action premiere?
Kill him.
That will keep you on edge till the very last second.
Nicky's coming directly for you. Don't be coming to me for help.
I came by to tell you I quit.
You don't quit me. Nobody quits me.
What you thinking about me when you're dying?
I'll be in hell waiting for you.
Bruce Willis, Christopher Walken, Bruce Dern. The season premiere, Last Man Standing.
Nothing personal.
Sunday, 8:30 on Movie 1.
Welcome back. Well, if Stan Alves started last week with some headaches, he starts this one with what must feel like a massive migraine. The Nikki Winmar affair overshadowing all else, even St Kilda's other problems at the MCG yesterday. Stan, thanks for joining us. What's happened today? Has there been that discussion with Nikki as yet that you foreshadowed would happen?
Yeah, look, I suppose if I can just backtrack a bit, we met, as we normally do, as a match committee at 7 this morning, and went through our normal procedures, and obviously when we got round to general business, it came to Nikki. We talked pretty long and hard about it, and we decided that we wouldn't take it any further until I'd spoken to Nikki, and then the match committee would meet again this afternoon and we would discuss what had transpired from there. I eventually tracked down Nikki. We spoke at length on the phone. And following that conversation, I went back to match committee and I gave them a rundown of what had transpired, and we considered it further, and the decision was made that Nikki wouldn't be considered for senior selection this week. He'd be required to go back to the reserves and work his way back through.
Have you talked with him then about what provoked it, his state of mind or other factors?
Look, I talked about everything, but that's a personal situation. I mean, and obviously the only way I would answer that is if he was here and he agreed for that to happen, because I mean that was something between the coach and the player, but we embraced, you know, an enormous number of topics. And as I said, at the end of the day, that was the decision we made.
Can you tell us though whether it's just a matter of his state of mind or whether there were things happening on the field? Because the fact that he is an Aboriginal player does raise the potential issue of vilification.
Look, all I can say is that I never even asked him that question, because I didn't want to lead him into it. It was something I was very conscious about. But through the whole thing of me asking, you know, what was the reason, everything like that, at no stage did he raise that or mention it in any shape or form.
Can I just ask what his frame of mind seemed in the rooms before the game? Because he did do a TV interview before the game in which, you know, he appeared calm and everything appeared fine.
Yeah, look, there was no indication whatsoever until what happened on the ground came up that it was going to be of a concern.
And I mean, did too much time elapse before you decided to take him off in the first half?
In my opinion, the answer to that is no, because at the end of the day, I think there's some. Let's just go. If you just walk through this, I mean, he certainly was being tested by a player who had a job to do, and I have no problem with that whatsoever. And he was probably not responding in the best way that we would hope. But we sent the runner out with a couple of messages to him of things that we thought were worthwhile. The other thing you've got to do is that, I mean, from our perspective, if that is going on and we just straight away take our player off, what's that saying about the coach-player relationship? What's that saying about my faith in the player? I mean,
was it at a stage, Stan, where you thought you might have had to protect him harming the team though, even though, albeit there is a line where you draw where you think the team gets hurt, and there was shots on goal resultant.
Oh, look, I understand that. I understand that, but at the end of the day, I mean, we value him as a player, and we think he can do those brilliant sort of things. And so,
everyone would.
What you're hoping is that will come out of it, and and that's why we said a few things, and we even sort of made some comments about going to different parts of the ground and to try and put the pressure on the other player to be worried about if you get closer to goal and do those things. But it just became obvious then that that it had got beyond that, and we had to take him off.
Stan, what about Nicky's relationship with the players? I guess in that situation you need them to be strong on field, and does he respond? Is he able to respond to your senior group of players?
I think at the end of the day, the best way I can answer this, Gary, was that he just became a distraction to the players. I think that they were trying, and this was a concern that we had, that they were trying to go to him to calm him down, but he wasn't responding even positive to them, and as a result they were worrying about him. And we were in a game of football where the opposition had got, had sort of got away from us, and I thought we're not playing great football, but we fought our way back in it. We weren't far away, and then when a couple of ones went against us, where they can be two goal-odd sort of swing-arounds in a game like that, and when we started to get back, look close, that happened. And the problem you've got then is it's just the effect that it's got on your players, because they're out there giving it their all, but one guy's lost the plot, is not responding to them, and is undoing a lot of their good work. So I mean, in that, for those reasons alone, well, they were the reasons why we had to take him off and hope that we would just sort of settle down.
As coach, given that he was so disruptive, you wouldn't be human if you didn't feel angry towards him yesterday. You've spoken to him today. How do you feel towards him tonight?
I mean, I'm more than it's not an anger. It's a disappointment. It's a major disappointment. I mean, I won't tell you what things that Nicky said to me, but one of the things that obviously I indicated to him was just a disappointment in not having a realisation of just what the circumstances were, and that for all his things, and I mean, I understand he's got a lot of things that may be going in his mind, but at the end of the day, he does have an obligation to all his teammates. And if he pulls the jumper on and goes out in the ground, he's got to do things that I think are also in the interest of those people, and I don't think he did. And that's where my disappointment lied. I mean, this is a team game, first and foremost, and I don't think he played his part.
Was he apologetic today?
No.
He wasn't apologetic?
Not to me. Now, he may have issued it through, other areas, but not in my conversation.
Should he have been?
That's his choice.
You've definitely all got to pull in the same direction, don't you? But it's almost like Nicky's pointing the blame somewhere else. We actually had somebody in the rooms doing an interview with Andrew Plimpton, and Nicky walked past and two people were standing there, and Nicky's words to Andrew Plimpton, he was the first out of the rooms, was too much training Prez. Obviously we know the President's directed to Andrew Plimpton, but saying too much training. Is he pointing the blame somewhere else? Is he pointing questioning your method of training?
Look, obviously that came back to me, and I mean, that is just, well, if it wasn't so serious it'd be laughable.
Yep.
Last week we met as a group, and one of the things that we determined was the fact that we'd lightened the workload off, and apart from 2 sessions during the week on the track, and one of them was in sort of wet conditions, was short and sharp. But during the week, Nicky was challenging all his other teammates, because he's saying, I don't think we're doing enough, and I'm doing 2 extra sessions a day. How about a few more of you joining me? And I just said to him, for the bloke to go that and then to turn around and tell everybody that we're training too hard, I mean, it's just a very silly statement.
It's an amazing situation, because really, as I said, I mean, Austin Jones, he almost last week you called his performance in the reserves a few cameo things. It was almost like that in Siege. We could see him working himself back into the team frame. You go back to a case where Nicky actually held out the contract situation 2 or 3 years ago, St Kilda fell apart in their race for the finals then, and really you need everybody pulling in the same direction. There's just that common thread through Nicky's career that he gets into an area where he self-destructs himself and those around him. It must be so disappointing for you to have worked so hard and put together a brilliant team up until 5 or 6 weeks ago, and it's all falling down. I mean, literally.
It's a disappointment for everybody. I mean, there's a disappointment from people right at the top of the club who work so hard, I mean, and the players and all the sacrifice they do. And there's also got to be a disappointment for the supporters. You know, I mean, I think everybody's disappointed because this man's got so much to give.
Yep.
But there are times in his life when he allows other things to come into it, and at that point of time, he just loses the focus on the football aspect of it. And I think it's, you know, we've put up with it a lot, but I think, you know, and probably because we've made concessions for him in a number of ways, but I don't really think at the end of the day that he's done the right thing by the club.
You said at the press conference yesterday you didn't speak to him at half-time. I think that surprised a few of us. We thought, given what had happened, you probably would have given him at least a bit of a talking to. Was the reason for that because you were worried the other players might think you were sort of weight bending over too far for him?
No, my experience in my 5 years working with Nikki Winmar, I just know that
once he goes past the stage, you can't
it's
get
irrational. He becomes irrational, and it's far better to just let him sit down and just relax and get his own thoughts and get it out of his system.
Stan, you've got a good relationship with your senior group. Have you spoken to them about this situation and Nikki, and will you go to them to seek, you know, their opinion on where the relationship sits between?
Oh, we've spoken at length about it, and they met again this afternoon just to talk through and what happened. And once we'd made the decision about what would happen with Nikki, before we made any announcement to the media, we made sure the players were there and we told them. And I went through and told them exactly what you're hearing now. And they're in a situation to ask any questions of me of what had transpired and stuff like that.
How many times do you think he can do this before he loses a player's respect altogether for good?
Or is he at that
I mean,
now?
I think that's probably a question. It's an individual question. I don't think it can be carte blanche. But I think that that if ever it's happened, I think it came the closest it's ever been yesterday.
After the game, the players were released from the, I suppose, the aftermatch, from what I've been told, correct me if I'm wrong, Stan, the aftermatch coaches conference to the team, and the core of selectors stayed in a room. Was that, as a group, sorting out, you obviously knew you'd be fielding questions about Nikki. Did you even right then go into straight on damage control over Nikki Winmar?
Well, firstly, we went into that. We always do that anyway for doing our post-match, to just talk about what our roles were in all areas. But yeah, I mean, obviously we got round to the Nikki situation, and we just sort of we talked about what would be our line, and you know, if I'm going to go in and speak to the media, what they thought were the relevant points that should be stressed. I mean, we always do that, and then afterwards, if somebody is going to be asked some questions, let's make sure we just go along this line, because, as you said, you know, we were just mindful of the fact that it really is just so emotional, and we knew that we were going to have a meeting that following morning. It was just important that we tried to keep cool heads till we could, you know, till the morning and sit down and talk through things.
Is there real frustration at the top, and I'm talking about Andrew Clinton, obviously, and Don Hanley? I mean, there's been so much hard work done off the field to improve the public face of the club, and yet blow-ups like this have been really what's defined St Kilda over the years. I mean, is there now a danger people are going to write off St Kilda as slipping back to its old ways?
Well, I guess that's for people to do. I think if that happens, it's sad, because at the end of the day, if you go through the club and everything that's worked for, and you come back and then hinge on the actions of one person, and you judge the St Kilda Football Club on the actions of that one person, I think you're doing the club a real disservice. You
said he wasn't apologetic today. Can he have a future unless he is?
Well, firstly, I never asked him for an apology. I mean, that wasn't the purpose of it. So I mean, you know, I didn't ask him that. I asked him for his versions of those things and stuff like that. So I mean, I think we've got to stress that I never at any time even hinted that I was looking for an apology. That wasn't part of what it was. All I'm saying is that he didn't make an apology in that period of time. Look, I mean, we've made our decision on what needs to be done. The ball is now in Nicky's court. He's got to determine whether he wants to come back. If he feels that part of that is to apologise to the players, I think it's one. But I've got to tell you, I think it's going to take more than words.
Absolutely.
I think it takes actions. I mean, if there was one thing, to be quite honest, that I know that my players were very angry about, especially my senior players, is that they, throughout the course of that game, they went to help Nicky and do everything in their power. At the end of the game, when they walked over to him to walk with him and show a strength with him, he refused to walk off the ground with his mates.
That's very humiliating for the club,
and I think that's, well, it is for the players.
It would be almost irredeemable, I would have thought.
And so I'm just saying that in terms of an apology, I think, you know, he's got to ask himself that question of just how far he wants to go to earn the respect of his teammates.
And quite clearly, if he wasn't going to be with his teammates, he wasn't going to extend or accept the hand of friendship from Anthony Franchina, and that's how it all ended. The fact that you're saying this being as direct here publicly tonight, Stan, would seem to suggest that it's not going to be easy. I mean, to rebuild the bridges now...
I don't think it should be. I don't think we can flippantly pass over this. I mean, I don't want to over-dramatise it.
Well, is there any hope?
Well, of course there is. I mean, there is certainly hope, and that hope comes by the man's actions.
So what?
It won't come by his words, and we're just saying to them what we're doing is that I think what we as a club has tried to do here is as quick as possible give a decision which will enable Nicky firstly to get his thoughts together about what he wants to do. And I mean, we haven't closed the door. We've said you won't be considered for senior selection. We'd like you to come back through the reserves and work your way back through. I mean, now, if you're a footballer, that means you've got an opportunity to come back and do that. The other thing we're hoping, obviously, is that the earlier we're able to say that in terms for our players, it cuts out the worry that they've got. You know, will he be playing, what will happen, and all those other different things. Because, you know, the thing that this is, and you rightly said a bit in your introduction, I mean, unfortunately, this is diverted from us, which is what the real concern is. And I mean, Nikki Winmar is important, but by gee, he runs a very, very, very distant second to the St Kilda Football Club. And the St Kilda Football Club has got to win games to play in the finals. That's what it's all about. And so it's important that we did something so that the players now can concentrate on what they need to do.
Well, let's get on to the issues of last week. Is there any chance that somehow this really brings a focus to the efforts of everybody else and in some way helps you overcome whatever it was that's been holding you back over the last month?
Well, I'd like to think so. I mean, the other thing is that as disappointing as yesterday was, we saw an enormous amount of positives and you know, things that we challenged ourselves. During the week we sat and we talked about things, and we were very strong on the fact that we felt that our problem was that we had the majority of our players not doing the things that made them good players. You can get hung up about, oh, you did this wrong, you did that wrong, but the reality is if you look at our players, I won't go through them one by one, each one of them got certain strength that makes them a good player. Same as Gary has, same as Dermy has. What we believe is for a certain number of reasons, they had stopped doing them. And what we had to do is we firstly had to encourage them to get back to do those things. And if it means taking some risks and doing some things and things not working, that's fine, let's move towards it. And they're in a game, but we also said that we understand that don't expect that it won't turn around straight away. I mean, things very rarely happen like that. But we're looking for signs, looking things to work on and do that. Now, we played against the Blues, and I thought that, you know, they're playing some very good football and stuff like that. But with all our problems and stuff like that, in that last quarter we got to 18 points. And then a few other little things happened, and then they kicked away and we had to come back. But, you know, I think there were enough things in there, and that's why it's important that we come back to that and we were able to talk to our players about, well, you know, this was a bit better, but now we've got to just go even harder. Whatever we did last week, we've got to improve on and work on. So, I mean, again, no magic formula, but we believe that we know what we've got to do, and we'll continue to do it.
Probably don't want to see all the stats, but we'll have a look at them anyway. Yep. Stan, between rounds 15 and 20, you've lost 5 of 6, slipped from 1st to 7th. Percentage down, that's extraordinary, 119 to 101.9. Kicked 100 points only once, conceded 128 or more, 4 of 6, and the average losing margin is out near 8 goals. You're talking about trying to regain confidence, taking risks and so on. Aussie Jones, a lot to talk about there. Down right below you at one stage yesterday, took a terrific mark and then took a risk and it didn't come off. Would that please you nonetheless?
Absolutely ecstatic. I mean, I said to him, you know, if I see him today do that 3 or 4 times and he gets caught doing it, we know you're on your way back.
That's good coaching.
I thought it was sensational, because if you, you know, it's happened at this stage in the game, but one of the great things was that in that last quarter we put Aussie down and just isolated him in that forward line, and some of his attacks on the ball, and one of the reasons we did that is because down there he had to beat a man one-on-one, and not to get the ball out in the open, and I thought some of his efforts in that, where he did in those last quarter, was outstanding. Aussie Jones made a super step in the right direction.
There's always a lot of focus on Aussie Jones and Nikki Winmar, Stuart Lowe, the key players, but I mean there's a real factor in the slide in the last few weeks been the non-performance of maybe the second tier players below them. And there was a group of, I think, almost 6 or 8 players who played State of Origin footy, and almost to a man their performances have really fallen away since then. I'm talking about Young, Zilla,
Yep.
Mitchell.
Well, the answer to that's yes, and it's going to be in any side. I mean, you know, like Gary's 2 away from me, and I'll bet this year they're absolutely ecstatic at the form of the Phoebes. You know, probably people aren't talking about them that much, but I bet they're ecstatic about their form because, you know, what's happening is that the run that they're giving and the risk-taking and stuff like that, coupled with other people, they'll be looking at Gary's back and, you know, Neitz is back and Swartz is back and people are doing that, but there's always those other people that just become so important to you. Now, if you imagine if the Phoebe boys, and I'm just using the other club, if the Phoebe boys started losing confidence and didn't start running, became stop-start players, what it would do to their side. Because those kids are getting the footy, by the time they're finished with it, they get on the half-back flank, by the time they finish with it, it's down Gary and Neitz and Swartz are fighting for the ball. You know, and that's the area that we've dropped off enormously. You know, our players, we've just dropped back, and our better players, they've stopped doing the things that made them good players.
So are you now sort of back to where you were in the sense that Harvey, Burke, Lowe, the top 4 or 5 carry the side?
Yeah, they've had to. They've had to. I mean, that's, you know, that's one of the things that has occurred, and what's happening now is that you know, those guys, you can only carry the load for a certain amount of time. You know, I mean, you've got to get weary at some point of time, and they've suffered from that. I mean, and that's what I said. We'll just come back to, you know, the other players. We know the interesting thing is that we know the players that we're talking about can play good football and do it. Just for some reason at the moment, there's something's gone into their psyche that stopped them from taking risks.
Just quickly, you mentioned the state footy. I think it was 11 I counted up through the week. Would you prefer that not to fall during the year, or would you still be happy for
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I want my players to participate in it, but and I said to my players here, I think there's a number of our players unfortunately saw that as the culmination of their personal year.
Stan, thanks for joining us. You sleeping well?
Depends how many tablets I take. I am, thank you. Yes, I'm snuggling into Judy and it's lovely.
Good to have you with us tonight. Stan Alves, coach of St Kilda, and next we'll have a smiling AFL football operations manager, Ian Collins, in the studio.
Tomorrow, it's all action and entertainment right here on Optus Vision. At 8:30 on Movie 1.
I'm the law around here, McLennan, not you.
James Caan and Christopher Lambert in the Australian television premiere season of North Star. On MTV at 7, R. Kelly plays his favourite clips on Star Treks.
I hear you calling.
On Sports Australia at 7:30, Rugby leads the game, and you'll get all the hard facts on NRL winners live. At 8:30, Horizon takes a timely look at the American presidency.
They're worse than a bunch of children fighting over toys.
People and the power game. On Ovation at 9:30, Club Jazz presents the Herbie Hancock Trio. On Odyssey.
And see your team's games replayed at a time to suit you. Every week, every game replayed at the same time. The Swan Show, 5:15 Wednesday on Sports AFL.
There are no aliens. The truth is not out there, and politicians don't lie.
Jerry, I'll need a good speech. Abraham Lincoln meets Leave It to Beaver. You know the sort of thing.
Believe that, and you will miss the most spaced-out comedy in eons.
We come in peace. And our world will never feel quite the same again.
Mars Attacks, not starring Fox Mulder or Dana Scully, X-filing their way through the cosmos.
We're not alone in the universe.
But starring Jack Nicholson.
This is a momentous occasion.
Glenn Close.
I'm not gonna have that thing in my house.
Martin Short.
They can read our thoughts.
And Pierce Brosnan, with a galaxy of Hollywood stars fighting for peace, justice, and indifference.
We should hit these assholes with everything we got, sir.
Somebody should find a way to stop them.
I'll tell you one thing. they ain't getting a TV.
Before time runs out. It's Out of This World, Mars Attacks, coming in September to the Movie Network.
It's an all-out war in the confines of a steel cage. It's WCW NWO Fall Brawl War Game.
To order this main attraction event, phone 1-300-300-666.
Welcome back. Well, after watching yesterday's match at the MCG and seeing Stan under the griller in the last 15 minutes, Ian Collins must be imagining that being AFL football operations manager is a pretty cushy job. He's only got to worry about the umpires and the tribunal and the charging law and the closing roof on the docklands. It's a soda, Colo. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening, Tim. How are you?
Pretty well. What would you rather be, a coach or a manager of football operations?
Oh, no, I think there's not much longevity in being a coach, is there?
What about football operations manager?
Oh, well.
Plenty of longevity there.
It's easy, isn't it?
The charging law has been one that has a lot of different opinions flying around. You were saying on 3LO at the weekend that you might have to look at using rough play. There's the David King one that was up earlier tonight. Surprised that was thrown out?
Oh, I'm never surprised at anything that happens in football, Tim, but one would have to say that the laws of the game are pretty simple on charging. It's a reportable offence, but it really doesn't define what charging is, and the umpires operate under a set of guidelines, and they work from that when they do lay a report.
We just had a look at a couple that occurred on Friday night. Now, one went up and the other one didn't. We might go through them again. We've seen the King one, but this is Winston Abraham with Chris Bond, who obviously was quite dazed. Now, in this case, it's the shepherder who comes in. He's the one with the physical intent. Shoulder up, appears to be to the head. Why was one reported and the other one not?
I can't say that, Tim. We don't get all that involved in it these days. We leave that to the umpire, and hopefully they make the correct decisions at the appropriate time.
But you still have the option to call it up yourself.
Oh, we could, but we haven't done that for a little while. We would like to think that the umpires are a pretty competent lot, and we've now got Peter Swab and Rohan Saws who handle it pretty well, and we think they should guide the umpires through those situations.
Would they look at, say, the King incident and compare it to Abraham? Obviously they don't, because if they did, they'd say, well, King went up, he should go up as well.
No, what they'd do, they'd highlight a number of incidents that need to be looked at, and they would go through the video and look at those. If they think there's one that is a bit untoward, they'll call the umpire in and allow him to look at it and make his decision on it.
But looking at that, you wouldn't suggest that King was worse than Abraham, would you?
Well, I think what you've got to remember is that unless it's really clear, unless they feel that it's lay down misère, in most cases they won't put it up. They don't try and second guess what may or may not have happened.
Colin, am I drawing a long bow here, but when you were at Carlton, your boy was Bradley, and he was treated pretty favourably a couple of weeks ago, wasn't he?
Well, I just thought that the Tribunal showed a lot of common sense.
I agree, but he was the first one to get a lot of common sense.
Well, for a while, I think we can go back to Western Australia, where there was a tribunal set up over there for a while, and...
Now, sorry to interrupt, but having a look at that, I mean, why was Tingay, and this is a matter for the Tribunal, but do you become concerned when you see that Bradley was actually issued a 2-week suspension for that? It was suspended, and apparently there's a change of philosophy on those, and yet Stephen Tingay was acquitted of that. Now, he has slammed into his back and really rattled him. We become very confused about some of the Tribunal outcomes. Do you?
Well, I think I did say just recently we're all confused, but it's something that we'll work through in the summer and get the definition of charging and also rough play and sort them out, because in the end they're both a reportable offence, and we just need to get the guidelines sorted out.
So, I reckon the Tingo one they got right. I beg to differ on that one, because when you saw Dean coming forward, he was front on, and 99 times out of 100 the player takes the ball and then moves that way, his body's moving that way, and you turn, look that way, and Tingo launched himself to get him front on, but he actually goes back over his shoulder. See, from where he got the ball, 99 times out of 100 he should keep coming forward and turn around. He made his mind up to meet him face on, but he turned and went further backwards while moving this way. I reckon that was a fair call.
But the tackler has to be accountable for the tackle that he lays, doesn't he? And in that case, the tackle that he
99 times
laid...
out of 100 is, yeah, you're right, but 99 times out of 100 he would have met with the face.
So Tingo was unlucky that Dean
he was dead set unlucky.
I think Jamie didn't explain anything, didn't he?
Surely one of the problems with the consistency on some of those charges is that the tribunal panel members alternate from week to week. I mean, is there, and forgive me whoever suggested this the other day, I can't remember who, but it was a very good suggestion. Why not have a virtual full-time panel that's compensated appropriately?
I'll go on it.
They, oh, you'd be a good judge. And they sentence everything with the same degree of judgment that they judge every other case.
I think it's easy to sit back and try and assess what or what shouldn't. You've also got to look at not only the charge that goes before them, but it's how it's presented.
But the same group of people are going to judge something fairly consistently, aren't they? More so than a disparate group of people.
Not necessarily.
Really?
No, I think if there's guidelines and you've got a common chairman, that shouldn't really be any different. You know, we do have a common chairman, so there should be...
How's he going?
I think he's going quite well. How do you think he's going?
Yeah, not bad.
Interesting one in the final minutes at Waverley, which prompted some comments from Rodney Eade at his media conference, with Stephen Crediuk coming across O'Loughlin and making a clean spoil, in fact, but also making clean contact with O'Loughlin's head as he tried to mark. Now, I think the instruction of the umpire is that if the contact to the head is incidental to an attack on the ball, which clearly Crediuk was mounting, that it's okay. No free kick, no report?
I wouldn't have thought. I thought that was in general play, and I think Crediuk had his eye on the ball and punched the ball clear, and it was obviously that two players were coming from different directions with the same intent. I don't think there was anything in that.
Sorry, Connolly, I reckon there's been a bit of confusion about that too, because Rodney Eade certainly made the Peter Schwab reference in terms of they should have got a free kick, but I don't think he was suggesting there should be an investigation or anything of that nature. I think it was simply trying to draw attention to the missed free.
Well, in fact, let's have a look, and you can make your own judgment on that. Rod Eade at his media conference post-match.
Did anyone see what happened to O'Loughlin? He might have an X-ray for a broken jaw. Did anyone see what happened to that one down the last 10 minutes?
Yeah.
3 minutes? Was it a coat hanger?
No, there was a guy spoiling and punched the ball and crashed into his head. They don't comment on it. They did talk about it.
Running back into play. Sorry? Running back into play. Yeah, I just didn't know what happened to him. I thought it was head high. And just check on Mick's jaw. So maybe have to talk to Peter Schwab about that one.
Well, it's not as though he's just suggesting that it was a free kick, is it? He's talking coat hanger and talking to Peter Schwab because of an injury to the jaw. I mean, sounds a bit stronger than that.
Well, yeah, I mean, he said that after we asked him about injuries, so yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe we're cutting him too much slack there, but look, you've got to give him credit for planting the seed pretty effectively anyway.
Yeah, he was just trying to show it with a little bit more velocity that perhaps it definitely should have been a free kick, but I think when Rodney, I mean, he's a very smart football judge, I think when he looks back at that he'll realise that there was no real free kick there and contact with the ball was made first.
It's an interesting tactic, isn't it? I mean, he's having a bit of a go at the other team.
If somebody was going to work out a way to throw that in, it was going to be Rodney Eade all day long.
Well, he's a man with the fines. You've doled out a few in the last few weeks, haven't you?
Obviously, he's tried to learn from John Kennedy.
Kanga.
He's very good at that type of thing.
Well, is there an implied criticism of the umpire?
I think you'll find that there'll be please explain.
For that?
Yes.
What comes under the, what is it, a veiled criticism you call it or something?
Yes.
I've seen that one before.
So how...
I think you've seen most of them, Jamie.
How subtle do you have to be, Colin?
Well, you know, if you go into conferences like that and you guys present questions to them and they come back with answers like that, well then along the way we need to find out what their real meaning of what they're about is on.
Colo, just on that, are we too precious? Are you too precious? Is the league too precious in that regard? Why do you need to protect against something that is so cryptic almost in that light?
Oh, I don't think we need to be precious. I think most of the things that the AFL do and most of the things clubs and players do are under the microscope all the time. But in the end, I don't think there's any gain to the sport, and especially to the AFL, if we keep honing in on issues that sometimes are unavoidable on the football field. And I think the umpires, they're in charge of the game officiating, but, you know, I'd like to, as much as we criticise them over a period of time, the umpires, I'd just like to let them be there and not noticed and not commented on, and let's get on with the game, and the players put the game on and the umpires officiate.
That'd be great, and I agree with you because that decision was the correct one. But if a player, as you say, not noticed, and the best way to have them do that is doing their job diligently. If that isn't the case, is there something wrong with telling the truth?
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with telling the truth, but I think...
It's going to cost you in some occasions.
Well, there's a process that we've got in place for coaches or players to register their disappointment or criticisms. That's not in the public arena. I think Rohan and Tim can do that quite, and even yourself these days, can do it quite efficiently without...
You mean I couldn't as a player?
No, well, you did. But,
just had no credibility then.
You occasionally got a bit lighter in the pocket, but apart from that,
Thanks,
you know,
mate.
you're entitled to do that, and you know, I think that's fine. That's your job, and that's part of the mystique of footy. But I don't think players and coaches need to do that. Otherwise, I think there's obvious undue pressure put on people.
Mick Malthouse, sorry, I'm just going to ask quickly, Mick Malthouse, will he come under scrutinisation? I would imagine you've seen that one.
Yeah, Mick's got a question to answer. He knows the rules as well as you or I, that it's only the captain during a game that can make any comment and ask a question of the umpires.
Yes, here is Mick, just having a word with the emergency umpire, Grant Vernon, fellow Western Australian. Probably talking about dinner that night, the restaurant just over there on the eastern side of the ground.
Well, Grant Vernon's a local, so it might have been compared.
No, we'll go to that one. We'll go to that one.
Grant Vernon's certainly entertaining the conversation, though, isn't he? He's listening in. It's not as if he's trying to get away from him.
No, obviously he was just trying to make out what he was saying, obviously, but there's probably a please explain on its way.
And one to David Parkin as well. He was a long way from the media, who in the main I think missed it. Our camera didn't. Just catches it, but it was over on the AFL members' side of the ground at half-time. Did you catch up with this one?
We won't miss any of them, Tim.
Right?
No.
In fact, Parko did say to me, I asked him about it at the end of his media conference, and he said, I think it might cost me my match payment. So I think he's expecting...
I don't think we find them quite as high as that, Tim.
Look, we're not just here to criticise, we're also here to praise. We've done a lot on goal umpiring this year. A classical piece of goal umpiring in all seriousness in that contentious one at Waverley Park.
They got one right.
Look, I reckon as you watch this, I mean, you can see what a difficult job it is, but you can see a goal umpire in perfect position. It was the Steve Koliniuk snap. Dunkley touched the ball, but the goal umpire felt on the wrong side of the line. He couldn't do better than that, could he?
No, perfect position.
And strode very precisely to the centre of the goals.
Ramrod straight back, which is most important.
Nice shiny black pants too.
And yet, I mean, there are some which are incredibly difficult. We were talking about the one which is close to a goal post, which means the goal umpire has to be back and in line with the post, but it just is dropping and might just clear the pack, or it might be touched, which means he also has to be looking across the line. So he quite literally would need to be in two places at once.
That happened yesterday. That happened at Carlton yesterday. Somebody had a shot at goal. The player was running back. The umpire came up to the goal line, stood astride it. Ball faded away to the other side of the goal post through the points, and I thought, oh no, he's going to pay it a point here, a goal here. But he got it right.
Got it right. If you notice, and I don't know whether you do notice, the boundary umpires do make position on the point post. So. Just take note of that in future. They do help.
Just want to ask you that. Can the goal umpire overrule? Let's say the boundary umpire calls mine out in the full and the goal umpire calls point. Who overrules?
Well, it's the goal umpire is going to make the final decision, but he will take into account these boundary umpires and the field umpire before he makes that decision, and I think that's terrific. That wasn't the case in years gone by.
You like those boundary umpires, Colo? Look at them. Not only is the goal umpire in perfect position, but those boundary boys are perfect.
There was a moment at the MCG yesterday, and I'm just trying to remember who kicked the goal, but the goal umpire definitely consulted the boundary umpire and then went and paid a goal. And we were all thinking in the press box, what could he be consulting him about?
Well, that's what he's consulting him about, the decision.
Well, whether it's a goal.
Well, he'll consult. I bet you I bet you both those boundary umpires there gave a signal to the goal umpire before he paid that.
But if a goal umpire's about to signal a goal, how is a boundary umpire going to be able to help him who's standing 15 metres away?
He may be, you never know.
I reckon you blokes are missing it all. The real important bit of that footage we just saw, that still shot, was Terry Wallace when he gets hold of it, and he'll say to Cookie, what the hell were you doing? You were just hoping it was going to carry the line. Why didn't you shepherd?
A bit.
As you stood there and became the second goal umpire. So I reckon you're all missing the right spot.
Another interesting one, again at Waverley, is the use of some of the supernumeraries. Here I think we might see a doctor and also the female physio seeming to set themselves up in neat formation for the ruck contest. Colo, is this an epidemic proportion one?
It's something that we, have sent memos around on because we find it rather difficult and unacceptable that the way they do position themselves for boundary throw-ins and even for kick-ins, where sometimes the runner and other people associated with the game fill up the holes. And whether we like it or not, when you're in a bit of a hurry trying to kick off from full back, as we don't give them all that much time these days, you really don't have much option to say, well, that when you look, they'll probably say that hole over there's being filled, and when you look the second time, it's probably a runner or a trainer.
Sheedy brought that in. He's done it about 12 years ago. He was the first to bring it in.
Well, I think even the runners go to match committee meetings, so they know so much more about the tactics.
Where do I stand?
Yes.
Just on the tactics as well, I want to ask you this one. You've got the line across the centre circle. Now, sometimes the umpires don't hit it down straight and it goes one way or the other. Now, the line's there to split the ruckman up.
Yes.
Okay? So if the umpire bounces it wrong, it goes one way, you may have to get a ruck rover behind that line, contest the ruck, hit out. Isn't that a free kick?
But Dermy, you would know yourself that if you bounce the ball straight, the two knock ruckmen are likely to injure themselves. Where if you bounce it a little bit crooked, off centre, there's one person will get the knockout, but the other one won't get hurt, will he?
Would you say I've got you there, though, for the moment?
Probably have. Well, there's always an argument you should bring it back and rebounce it or throw it up. I hope we never get to that.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Pleasure.
You'll be back here on Thursday night, will you, for the panel?
Not this week. No.
Not this week? No. What's happening?
Oh, I'm
bigger fish to fry.
In retirement.
Good to have you with us tonight to make up for it. Ian Collins, the AFL's General Manager of Football Operations, back with more football feedback shortly.
White guys that can jump. I'd like to see that.
Men who score every few minutes. I'd like to see that.
So you're supposed to sprint, bouncing a ball, shaped like this. How do you do that? Thousands of cheerleaders at every game. I like to see that.
Aussie rules? I'd like to see that.
4 survivors.
Sexual misconduct.
It's good news for bushfires.
Barefaced
Australia.
Can't remember the last time Matty Capuano featured in Best of the Best, but if he keeps kicking them like this, the big sausage rolls, it won't be the last time he's in there.
Matthew Capuano done. The goal of the night.
Yes, it didn't take the big bloke long to make his presence felt at Waverley Doom. 30 seconds in and a great goal from the boundary.
What a wonderful venue.
Yes.
Hear that, Colo? And what about the not-so big bloke at the G? Sav, he swings onto the right foot here. If only he could kick through the sitters with equal applause.
Well read.
I didn't read.
Great to see Brad Boyd back in harness and getting plenty of it. And he had a bit of luck as well with goals at the Gabba. Well weighted. Oh, and a leg break.
It's going to be very close, and the goal umpire says it's a goal.
And Sos Silvani was brilliant against the Saints. One hand's all he needs here. Fantastic grab against Maxie Hudson. On the lead, one hand, and still holding off the opponent.
And it mightn't be as good as Winnie's, but what about this from Lee Coleman? Picture perfect, in fact. Winnie Abraham, that is, for the uninitiated. Beautiful goal.
And Tony Modra back in town here. They would have been salivating back in Crow Country. There he is. Well done, Tone. Tone. Good reading before, guys.
Yes, and this young bloke gave us a headache or two early, Derm. Warren Treadray. Great running mark with the flight. And lucky he can't kick.
And what about this one, Gaz? Moving the ball forward. And here he is, the big fella, the Ox. Slams it around. Is he having a shot here, or is he actually looking to pass off?
No doubt having a shot.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Todd Viney finishes the deed for him.
Yes, and Fraser Gehrig doing it all here. Knocks out Nathan Bauer, pretty hard task. Watches Matty Knights saunter away before offering a typically wholehearted chase and bone-jarring tackle. Great stuff from Fraser. Jerry Seinfeld impersonator. They call him over there.
They've got a Kramer too, Philip Reed. Have you seen the hair on him?
No. I'll watch for it.
Beautifully handled. It's been confirmed that Jared Neesham will be stepping down as coach of the Fremantle Dockers. What are we looking at here?
Glenn Jakovich has done the ankle while you're making that big announcement.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, no, this is Mainwaring coming on for the fantastic result for Mainie too. The crowd, very different to the way that they respond at the MCG. Jakovich coming off, but Mainwaring a big plus for the crowd.
We're talking about Jakovich.
Well, we're talking about both of them.
All right, okay. Well, on the Jakovich side of things, it is an ankle injury, but he's supposed to be all right. So important in for them against St Kilda.
We'll talk about Jared Neesham in a little while, perhaps. But what about Brad Johnson's elbow, which didn't look good?
It's comparatively good news for them. He dislocated the elbow and was put back in by, well, I hope the doctor anyway. I think it was the doctor, not the trainer. But he had x-rays late on Saturday night, and I think they were half expecting him to reveal a fracture, but they didn't. It's just bad bruising. So at an outside chance, he might be back for the last round, but more likely be back for the first final.
Can I just let you into a secret there?
Yeah, don't worry. He's going to be out for 10 weeks because you've done this injury before.
There'll be no fractures revealed from now on in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, of course not. Who's going to reveal a fracture?
Well, what about if someone does what you did in that last round and you got your legs sort of dangling in 3 places? It's going to be a bit hard.
Under those circumstances, they may.
Right, okay.
What about the Ox then? It's not a fracture, it's just a hammy. 4 or 5 weeks?
Just a tickled him.
Is this it?
Yeah, he did give it a minor tug. He had some hamstring problems, you'll remember, about 6 weeks ago.
Yep.
And very precautionary. But
Theo X.
Theo X, he may be in doubt for Monday night against Sydney, although he's a chance because it's a Monday night game.
He's got a limp up already and he hasn't even got off the ground, and you're trying to play it down and say maybe a chance. You are tricking yourself. What do you think we are, idiots?
He's in good touch too, the Ox.
And could the extra
move straight on, Gaz.
Could the extra 2 days make that much difference?
Well, he probably won't. In all seriousness, he might sit that one out and come back for the last game.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Are you happy with that, Deb?
The Glenn Kilpatrick one at Cardinia Park. Now,
Nasty.
did you salivate at this, Dermy?
Well, this was nasty. The ball was always going to go out. Peter Caven helping him over the line fairly late. I suppose he was obligated to always make pressure right to the extremity of the ground, being the boundary. But when he went into that dugout, he actually went under there, and that was quite nasty.
Spoke to Gary Davidson today, the Geelong football manager, and he was on that bench next door, I think, and he said they were convinced he'd be dead. You know, I mean, the speed with which he went into the dugout. The news, I guess, when you see that, you probably think it's not too bad. He's got a, well, it's not great either. He's got a grade 2 medial ligament tear, which is a 4 or 6 weeker, so that's the end of the road for him. I think he had some really bad bruising to the hip and the rib cage as well, so not a great way to end your season, is it?
Is that a problem there? I wasn't at the game, obviously, Doom. Is that a problem or not?
Well, that, what do you mean, in a bit of stinky after it?
No, but how close to the...
No, so it seems to be normal. He really wanted that ball and he went for it and thinking, well, I might get to it and the ball might pop up and I'll still win it. Caven helped him over the line right at the end, but the best period of the game that the Geelong team played was after he went off, and not because he was missing and somebody else better came on. They got fired up and they got a bit aggro after that, and that was the best they played.
Geelong aren't whinging about it either, I should say.
Right, so is there any convention on those close to the fence sorts of contacts?
I think some players have got half an idea. They do exercise a degree of discretion, but most grounds have got a fair gap between the boundary.
You do help them though. Honestly, if you can, you help them into the fence.
Here I am trying.
But I will say,
credibility of the players.
Oh, Gaz, I'd appreciate it if you just told it like it was instead of lying all the time. But what you'll actually find right on the boundary, mid-wing, players will only ever. So if that's the line there, players rarely. Kilpatrick went straight over it like that. Players on the wing, when it gets out wide, they're either coming from defence or attack to meet the ball. They nearly always go over it on an angle, chasing the ball, moving it one way or defending it. Very rare anybody goes that way, and I suppose it might be a metre too close, but he made up his mind he was going to chase it all the way down that one.
Rohan, some Richmond injuries.
Yeah, well, it's sort of a few in and a few out for the Tigers, so they're expecting to get back, I think, this week, Plapp, Powell and Holland, among others, but... Gasper is the other one, thanks Gaz. But the outs are just as impressive, well, impressive if they were there. Rogers has broken his arm, so that's at least 3 weeks for him, so be pushing to play in the finals if they get there. Brett Evans has broken his cheekbone again, I think, for the 2nd time, so that's probably 2 at least, probably more likely 3. And Wayne Campbell, of course, very important runner for them. He's got a bad cork thigh and I think is probably pretty doubtful. So they've got Brisbane this week. It's a game they should win, but I suppose playing you blokes next week, you won't be exactly unhappy about that news, will you?
It's not as if I'm not watching the injury list with great care. Gasper's got bad headaches, we've been informed, so...
So you'll be giving him a few on the back of the head, no doubt, when they're spoiling.
No, he'll be right by the time we play him.
Just a fatherly pat on the head it'll be, won't it?
A brotherly one. We might get his brother to play on him.
He's the serious asthmatic, though, isn't he? He can't stay in hotels,
that's right,
down Gasper, that have carpet on the floor, so I wonder if it's any relation to that, or correlation to that somewhere in there that's giving him the headaches. He has to stay in a room with wooden floorboards or tiles, just for the dust mite syndrome.
Now, what about the headache Sav Rocker is giving everyone at Collingwood with these misses that he should be nailing?
I can tell you he also gave me great headaches on the weekend, because we would have loved Collingwood to beat Essendon, and he kicked 4 points, I think, in the last quarter. He kicked that one from the boundary, and that just shows his enormous potential and agility. For a 6'4" bloke to be able to screw a ball back like that is just enormous. And he hit this one all right. It's gone all of 70.
That's tight.
No, our man Jeff McClure in The Age, we've got an exclusive report on that rocker kick tomorrow. He went and measured that today, and I think it was 75 point something.
But I'll tell you one thing about him, is that they say that somebody, Whedon or somebody down there, has taken him aside and given him a new kicking action because he was kicking poorly. Well, I tell you what, he's gone backwards under it. If he got a few results from it early on, what he's doing, he's gone to the way that Peter Dacos used to kick goals, and that is 2 or 3 steps, bang, hit the ball. Now, that's fantastic, but Dacos was a 1 in a million eye-hand coordination and relation of the mind where the ball's hitting the boot. Dacos can do it. You're talking about a bloke here, 6'5", and his foot comes from about 4 yards away on the downswing and through the ball. And he gives it a whack. Why not just go back to the old system he had where he kicked 90-something goals one year, except that every full forward at some stage is going to kick 4 or 5 points in a row. He's been doing that all this year. Maybe he might get in a situation where that might happen 1 week with the old action, but other than that, he's got so much of an advantage. He kicks the ball so much further than every other full forward. Go with the action he grew up with.
I think sure he indicated he was going to do that, sort of let him go back to his natural style. But I mean, isn't the thing with Rocker usually if he kicks the first couple of goals from his first couple of shots, you know he's going to have a big day. If he misses them, you know he's going to...
It's almost like if he misses one, but it still spins off the boot all right. I always felt all right that he was going to hit it okay. He just kicks a couple of mongrels early on, then you worry.
Yeah, well, he wasn't Robinson Crusoe on the weekend. I reckon it's the worst round of goal kicking I've ever seen. I've read lots of articles about Mike Sheen, amongst others, saying how poor footballers are these days. Well, I agree. On the weekend, it was a disgrace.
But contrast Matthew Lloyd to Rocker. Copped a nasty injury early, which young player could really have upset his momentum for the whole day. And that would really rock you, I reckon.
There, didn't it? I mean, he had a lot of bleeding, and look, the classical broken jaw right there. You would have said broken jaw, season over.
He looked pretty fortunate that it got him front on, though. You look at the action, he actually squares up to it. I reckon if he hadn't squared up to it, he might have got the broken jaw, but because it got him flush on, I reckon he was saved by that a bit.
And to be able to come back and do this is just, well, he's got the potential to be a 100-goal goal kicker. I've got little doubt about that. But
see the way he tucks the ball on the right hip with the left hand? Very much like Royce Hart, isn't it? And the shoulders just stoop over a little bit. He just holds the ball on that right hip.
He was having a few kicking problems early in the year. I don't know how many points he kicked on Saturday, but prior to Saturday, I think he'd kicked something like 16 straight or something. Right. So his kicking's just on fire at the moment.
21 straight. I think he has
21 underestimated.
Yeah. And as you said, Gary, a shocking weekend. Sav not the only offender at Collingwood. We might just have a look at a few of the others that got away as they kicked 1-9 and booted themselves out of it in the last quarter.
Yeah, look, obviously Sav's had a bad day, but you'd expect your other teammates perhaps to step up from time to time. I'm not saying these blokes are to blame at all, but 10 scoring shots and only get 1 goal out of it is pretty disappointing.
And Terrence was the real shocker, wasn't he? He was only about 20 metres out from memory.
Well, sometimes it can happen to him, isn't it? When you get on a bit of a roll, I mean, it goes right through the whole team.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You miss an easy one or two, and
was that a free?
Was that a free?
Close to it.
Very close. It would have been a free in the middle of the ground, Rohan. You're on a point there, though. I remember the first goal I kicked in the '91 grand final. I've kicked it and hit a mongrel, and I've gone, and it was out on the full. And I kicked it so bad that it was a floater. You know, floaters move like that. It went through for a goal, and I just looked up and thought, we can't lose. One of those days, you lose them all the time, or something like that happens, and that's probably twice in my career that happened. So you just go with it.
Arrogant. You really were arrogant.
Yeah, we were.
Newsflash, it has been confirmed that Jared Neesham won't continue as coach of the Fremantle Dockers next year, Rohan. Had you heard that one?
I had heard that one, but thanks for reminding me. Well, it's it's been an interesting time, hasn't it? I mean, I guess ultimately you've got to say it was a worthy gamble that failed. He's had 4 years, revolutionary style, which had probably compromised a bit in the last couple of years. But too many players turned over with the Dockers. They've never been able to settle down a winning side. Never had any really gun key position forwards, and losing Scott Watters and Ben Allen early on didn't help. I'm not sure that some of the degree of training hasn't accounted for some of the injuries they've had over the years, but I think it's probably a bit of a blow to the Western Australian code, if you like, because he was from outside, didn't work, and I think from all reports they're very keen to go for a Victorian-based bloke.
They have expected much more, though. I mean, they've been in the competition 4 years, is that right?
Yep.
You wouldn't have been expecting to win a flag in that
what
period
about the
time.
Eagles? They came in '87?
But with a far more generous...
and first crack out of the state.
All right, well, let me put this to you. The staff they've had on, let's say the Dockers can put their best team on the ground with a very good coach and a very good game plan that's differing. Do you think they would come up the ladder more?
I don't think they would, to be honest. I think that whilst they may have underachieved to a small degree, I don't think you could have realistically expected a whole lot more in their initial period of the competition.
I reckon they've probably got 2 or 3 big forwards. You're talking like Kingsley Hunter, who's a 2-goal full forward a week.
best.
Yeah, and this kid, I reckon, could be a 5-goal-a-week full forward, but he just hasn't been allowed to flourish as a full forward in the match circumstances he's playing in. I reckon they've got untapped talent over there. Blokes, they just bob up with 6'5"ers on every line, on the wing as well.
Ring up the age, will you? He's putting his hat in the ring.
Again.
Well, speaking of hats in the ring, the speculation continues about Collingwood, and the latest hat we hear on the grapevine is that of Mickey McGuan. And Kevin Rose treated this speculation with good humour today.
Mick McGuan, that's Mick McGuan, Dermot Brereton, Damien Drum, they're all having a go. Nah, look, I think Mick McGuan will be a good coach somewhere one day. Probably not just yet. But at Collingwood, there's no coaching position at the moment. Tony has the coaching job. And all we needed to decide is, do we allow him to continue the job that he has a contract to do for next year? And we'll make that decision over the next couple of weeks.
That's the Collingwood coach on the Mick McGuan situation, Rohan.
Yes. I did do a situation count on Mick McGuan the other night. I think I got up to about 27 after 15 minutes, but I'm sure he'd make a great coach.
On counts, Anthony Rock, how many steps did he take as he ran into goal on Friday night? We counted 22. I think the umpire was so busy waving the other players on that he forgot to look at the ball carrier.
Small steps, though, Tim.
22 of his, they're only 10 according to Kernan's.
Exactly. 22 half metres is 11 metres. I reckon that's all right.
Sure.
I counted 21.
He came from about 10 metres inside 50 to about 10 metres from goal. 10 and 10 is 20, 50 minus 20 is 30.
Yeah,
he ran about 30 metres.
The umpire Colo's looking for, I think, Tim.
I could be the man?
Yep.
No, you're not boring enough.
Got a lot of jobs.
And a little trip here that we're going to have a look at. The old deliberate hand trick, 50 metres.
That's not reportable because it's not...
No.
And the duck didn't get called up last week after you blokes tried to put him into
No,
it.
so it's not reportable, but the point here is you're missing the point.
Oh, I'm not. He should have got 50.
Yeah, well, you didn't pay the 50.
Oh,
and
right.
that actually, I've got to say, I mean, it's minor, but how does an umpire miss something like that? I mean, it's black and white in the rules. If it's a hand trip, it's a free kick and 50.
And he awarded the free kick.
And he awarded the free.
Yeah, so once you got the free, you should get the 50. It goes hand in hand.
How can an umpire who knows the rule book backwards forget?
Well, someone is suggesting in the background here that if it's accidental, perhaps the 50 is not applicable.
Accidental? He's reached up halfway to the heavens and pulled his leg down.
He almost tackled his sock, didn't he?
Yeah.
We'll just have to get used to the idea, Rohan, that unlike journalists, umpires do make mistakes.
Oh, of course.
Certainly do, Tim.
Oh, he's taken that one a bit fast. I think we might just take a break and cool things down before we come back for our last segment.
Yes, Nikki.
Can be this strong. I want the nights to go on and on. Of all the lovers who are in my room, you're the best, so come back soon. You're 100% Jesus. You're 100% Jesus to me. You're 100% Jesus. You're 100% Jesus to me. You're 100% Jesus. You're 100%
matter whether it's on 2 wheels or 4 wheels. It doesn't matter whether it's on or off the road. We've got it covered on Checkered Flag. Every week we bring you the very best motorsport action from Australia and right around the world. Strap yourself in and hang on as we take the Checkered Flag. Only on Channel 12 Sports Australia.
Welcome back for the final segment in our review of round 20. And we're going to start with the big plugger. Another 7 on Saturday and a very big game, 98 for the year. He's playing as well as ever, isn't he?
He's got good pace at the moment too. You see the way he let out for that ball, and he, well, he's always got confidence with the kicking, but his body is just, he's moving around pretty well. He's never going to be trim, taut and terrific, but he's got a bit of pace up there, and he keeps running through the hold on there from Croft.
He does look I noticed it on Saturday out there. I mean, he does look definitely slimmer, doesn't he, than he has been.
I think that probably because he's actually moving them very, very well as well.
I don't know whether he is. I mean, I reckon he's playing as well as he ever has. I don't know whether he's looking any slimmer than, you know, in recent years.
It's either 125 or 124 kilograms. I can't work it out.
I've got a very fine eye for weight, then. But that was an incredible goal. It was about 20 seconds in.
Some courage from Matthew Dent, although he got his body pointed in the right direction, I guess, to protect himself, but gave away a free kick.
Clever play, though, by Dent. I mean, he's really chopped it out, but he's actually protected himself fairly well. He's made the butt go first, but it's not exactly, I suppose, total courage, but it was half clever because he protected himself while taking Plugger out of the equation.
Do you reckon he gave him the don't try that again, or I might be unhappy? Why?
Oh, look, if you're willing to do weeks, you can get anyone in this
game.
Have
you guys ever heard that story about, I think it was about 91 down at Moorabbin, and he kicked about 8 on either Danny Hughes or Nigel Smart.
Oh, they're saying Nigel Smart,
or Rodney Maynard, I think, sent on to rough him up. Had a feeble attempt at Plugger, turned around and said, "This is your warning, do it again, and you're gone." And he said, "It's okay, Tony, I don't need to be told twice."
We caught up with Matthew Dent today and just asked him what Plugger did have to say in such a gentle, caring way.
Yeah, no, I did it once actually, and gave a free kick away, and he had a bit of a go at me and just said I didn't really have my eyes on the ball, and he did, and I only had eyes for him, he reckons. So there was a few words said, but nothing too much.
Is it a bit of a worry when the big fella sort of gives you the look and the eyes roll back in his head or whatever?
Yeah, as soon as he gave me a mouthful, I made sure I started taking a few steps back towards my position. So yeah, he's not the sort of man you want to upset, actually.
This wouldn't be a lot of fun, but Gary, what did you make of it?
Oh, I didn't think it was overly courageous, Tim. I thought he covered himself up pretty well, took his eyes off the footy and made incidental contact. I saw a guy who did something 10 times as courageous in the West Coast Richmond game and did it 3 times, and that was Andrew Callaway. Just totally like his brother, backing back, eyes on the footy, flat out, not just backing back, throwing himself back in a marking contest. That's courage.
Courageous with a capital K?
In my eyes.
Yeah, and the spelling.
Yeah.
Good to see Mark West back, that burst player for the Bulldogs, but a couple of his bursts in the last quarter produced results that should have been better. This one, an ambitious shot.
Yeah, well, maybe Jimmy Morrissey can kick them, but not many others. Did he go for the torpedo then on the run?
I don't know. I think he just hit a bad drop punt. He's not. He reminded me of the other guy who plays for Sydney, Cook. They both hit the footy pretty hard.
I'll tell you what's interesting with this bloke, though. He really didn't come into their side until quite late last year, probably around the same time, around 18, 19. Yep. Had a huge impact. Was one of their best players in the finals. They reckon he's had a bit of a problem, with his stamina and aerobic capacity. He could have come in at just the perfect time. Here we go, preliminary last year. I think he might remember that one. But he, with all fairness to him, he was a fantastic player for them.
Was good that day, wasn't he?
And he really gives them that extra bit of grunt too, doesn't he?
I suppose, too, with Libba going out of the scene in the middle of the ground, their midfielder, which is quite free-flowing, isn't totally accountable going the other way. Libba gave them the balance there. West back in there, he probably won't, well, he definitely won't tackle as hard as Libba, but what he will do is give them a bit of added aggression around the middle of the ground, even if he's not getting it.
Dermy, surprised to see Paul Hudson doing so well. I mean, he's doing exceptionally well, isn't he?
Not really.
He sealed it on Saturday.
He's got great talent, but you see that one there, that's a bit of a lucky one. Probably led his opponent into the contest and doubled back on him, which is not the way that a lot of coaches want you to play the game. But look, he's very clever. And really in this game of footy with a list of 42 now, a bloke with his ability and talent at knowing where to go to get goals, he's an invaluable commodity. He can kick goals, a very good finisher.
I think you hit the nail on the head, Derm. I think with a list such as you got, you can afford to have a bloke that perhaps does play a little unconventional if he can finish like Paul Hudson does. And I mean, that was unconventional. He probably sat off the play a little bit. Yep. But I think he's got over 40, upwards of 50 goals now.
I think he's on 48 now, isn't he?
Well, you'd be prepared to just forgive him his unconventional approach, if you like.
Some of the people are going to say, you know, pull your head in, Derm, but the hardcore of champions at the...
So that would
Thanks, mate. The hardcore of champions at the top end of the league footy, they're as good as they ever were, if not better. They are fantastic. Then your middle rank, those players sort of have very much levelled out. Paul Hudson was sitting just in between them, and he's kept his standard when basically the overall standard of league footy, apart from those hardcore champions, has sort of just middled out because of the lesser list, 42.
Exactly. There you go. We caught up with Paul Hudson and just asked him about, as Dermy and Gary described, the way in which he hung back off the pack and the ball just came his way.
You always dream of those ones where the siren goes and you've got to go back and have a shot, but fortunately I was in the right place at the right time, and my opponent was in front of me at the time and went up, and I thought, well, there's 8 blokes going for it, and I noticed the wind picking up and the ball sort of floated off the hands of the pack and wasn't sitting, and then it sat up and managed to get my hands on it and have a shot. And I was thinking back to last week because I was in a similar situation and levelled the scores against Geelong, so I was pretty confident kicking it, but I had to check my undies after the game, though.
It is a delight to watch him finish, I reckon. I mean, he just has such a great instinct for kicking goals.
In the blood, I think, Tim. He does finish beautifully.
Terry Wallace did say after the game that he said to Hudson, we bought you specifically for those sort of situations.
Yep.
So, I mean, they know what they were getting, and he's given them great value.
Yeah, he's a bit rough and ready around the forward line there, the Western Bulldogs, before Hutto got there, but he gave him a bit of polish.
Now, you old veterans, in a tight, emotional game like Saturday, would you have done what Steve Collignock did and throw the ball up when you had a chance to kick a goal and boost the team's percentage?
I want to see just how far he is out here.
In answer to your question, no, I would have had the shot. The goal you don't take is the one you're never going to get back, but he is a fair way out there, Derm.
Yeah, he would have had to carry it 55, but I tell you what, I would just pretend that I was going to celebrate and let everybody walk off and then roll one from centre-half back if I could.
Well, there it is. I mean, who cares who's on top of the ladder at the end of round 20? It's at the end of round 22 that it really counts, but it would have made the difference. That's how tight it is.
Well, it helps, though.
Yeah. Actually, again, Terry Wallace said, he didn't have a problem with it. He could understand the emotion of the moment. I wonder if he would have said that had he seen those figures.
You will know. Can you tell me? We should have asked Collo while he was here. Let's say they both end up on whatever percentage and it goes to the second decimal point, and they're level. Do they go to the third?
Right.
I reckon my understanding is that they do, and if they
or however many
long
points
it takes, and if they're level, they have to have a playoff.
Oh, really?
It's the for and against. They don't go to matches played during the season?
I don't think so. We'll look that up.
Yeah. But I should know.
It could just about happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if it's almost happened here...
There's a few decimal points to go.
What about the recurring number?
No, I don't know. I only did 4 form maths.
Yeah. Tony Modra is back among it at last. He's been brought along patiently by Malcolm Blight. But
timed it beautifully, Tim. He's held out on the contract negotiations, said he wasn't quite ready to sign and would wait till the end of the year, and pops up with 6 and a few vintage Modra grabs, and now can go back on the table and say, well, I'm going okay.
You know his manager's Max Stevens, the Channel 7 identity.
Yeah, that's
so,
right.
I think he might have whipped up the negotiations so he could report them.
But see, that mark he took there, that's where his strength is going to be. I mean, the real good players, he played on young Hamish Simpson, who's had a fair initiation over the last month and done very well. But Mod's just, they played to him beautifully, and I mean, see here, he's just sat a little bit far in front of him. For playing Tony Modra, that's not where you go. You've got to be in front of him. But his bread and butter is on the lead. And the good thing about him, I thought his spring wasn't fantastic. See, he actually...
That's a good sign, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great confidence. So he catches that on the way down, but his pace off the mark was the important thing, and he had it.
Hasn't it been a luxury for him, though, to be able to just ease him in off the bench over those few weeks?
You know what? You know why I reckon Adelaide will win it? Because Malcolm Blight is just playing ducks and drakes at the moment. Everybody, anywhere on the ground, he's just bringing them along accordingly to their body's requirements. McLeod, you would have been tempted to start him in the centre and say, let's win the game. He just waited till half-time and thought, he needs half a game in the middle. Nigel Smart, he'll play centre-half forward in the finals at some stage, played him off the back flank all day. He has just got blokes everywhere, and he's not, if he gets something that clicks, like McLeod in the centre, he's not going to give the prospective opponents, the coaches of the other teams, too long a look at him. It'll be in there, win the game, get him out quick.
Also, they were able to ease, say, Wren back last year.
Yep.
Probably ended up winning them the premiership.
And if they lose against North and the Bulldogs, we don't have to worry about it.
Well, you mightn't have to, but I tell you what, if they get there...
I know what you're saying, but that's the reality, though, isn't it?
It is too, but I reckon they're good enough to beat North twice in 5 weeks. But that's up to North. I mean, North are a fantastic side and have got real heart. So, look, this is going to be a grand final. It's going to be a fantastic game this weekend.
Particularly remembering the Sean Wren incident in the last meeting. It'd be a fantastic game.
Certainly Football Park in their favour this weekend. Speaking of home grounds, Geelong, not quite what it used to be. What hoodoo? Geelong has lost its last 5, and the margins haven't been insubstantial either.
No, they really have struggled to put it together, but they all coincide with the, what would you say? Actually, they lost a couple early on, didn't they?
Yeah, the West Coast one was early.
Yeah, but the dwindling list, you know, gee, they've really suffered from the time Benny Graham went down, and also having Pickering and Hocking at some stages during the year not in the side together has hurt them.
That's a big problem, though, isn't it? Like they've got, I mean, they've had a bit of a clean out a couple of years ago. They've got another one looming soon with Stoneham, Buddha, Pickering. They're all, you know, either approaching 30 or past 30.
Buddha's got another 3 years in him.
But the young guys they've pushed up haven't really come on in the last couple of years, I reckon. I reckon they've got a bit of a manpower problem.
Struggle a little bit.
Warren Treadray, Modra's not the only full forward in town in Adelaide. This bloke looks as though he could be a real star.
At half-time, and I obviously paid close attention to this, his statistics were 13 kicks, 10 marks, 2 goals for and 2 out of bounds on the full. That's at half-time. In fact, that was about halfway through the second quarter.
He hasn't got a bum action either. He hits it pretty sweet, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, actually,
as
the day wears on to him and he kept missing, his action went out the window. And he did look really ungainly, but gee, he made ground on a couple of occasions. He's got great mobility. He kicked 8 against Carlton, when you remember they gave them a nice pasting at Optus Oval, and early on they hit him beautifully. He was on the lead, and then he just marked everything in sight and couldn't kick to save himself.
It's interesting because Paul Evans was in that same group of Teal Cup kids who were put on that form 2 years ago so no one could draft them, and I think Evans was seen as being the likely spearhead, but this bloke's obviously gone ahead of him.
Yeah, well, he gave every indication that he could, you know, hold down the spot really well, and I guess one guy that would be feeling a little nervous, and actually you sat on the bench, which was Scott Cummings, as Treadray just kept plucking mark after mark. It was a bit like that, I think, and he got an opportunity later in the game and wasn't able to have a real impact.
Just with that, I mean, I know I saw him in the Carlton game. He took some great overhead grabs, but all those kicks that came into him were low and flat, so they were looking for him on the lead. Yep. Has he got good pace for a big guy?
Oh, look, terrific. A couple of times you thought, oh, look, it's going to drop short, but he just made the ground, and a couple of occasions he outbodied Shanahan as well, which is no mean feat.
He's a big kid.
Yeah, he's got some talent.
Just want to talk about umpires one more time. We get into them when they make a mistake and say he should change his mind. If they do, we get into them still. And Peter Carey did just that over at Subiaco yesterday afternoon. He actually changed his mind.
Oh, it's a woman's prerogative, mate.
I think our director's changed his mind. We are going.
Obligingly for Campbell. Campbell about 80 metres from goal. Spears it in low. That was no mark. Well, a whistle went. Not sure who blew it. Evans has got it. Hand passes towards the line. Umpire Carey may have blown the whistle, then call play on. I'm not sure you can do that. Yes, boundary dropped outside the 50.
Yeah, that is great umpiring, but I'd still like to get into him over that bristling moustache. It makes him look like he's in the village, people.
Why is it great umpiring?
Because he's shown the courage to be able to admit that he was wrong.
But he's blowing the whistle. You can't...
I agree with that. I agree with Rohan here. I'm going to have to...
You want to end up with the right decision, don't you?
Of course it was the wrong decision, but he's blowing the whistle. I mean, luckily in that instance...
They didn't stop.
Well, luckily, no one stopped. I mean, had everyone stopped, he would have looked like a right deal with a moustache.
Well, he does anyway.
And he might have yelled out... Actually, he couldn't hear, but he might have blown the whistle and then yelled out, "Play on."
It probably would have been better blowing the whistle and then blowing it and saying, "Look, I've got to ball this up, boys. I made a blue." That would have been better. As it turned out, it was okay because no one stopped.
I've got no problem with an umpire, though, that goes back and says, mistake.
Yeah, I agree. In cricket, when they go to raise the arm, which they've done a couple of occasions to give an out and then whack it down, I reckon that's fair enough. But in this game, if they blow the whistle, well, everyone's going to stop. Luckily, they didn't.
I've got to blow the whistle. We're going to have a look at round 21, the penultimate round of the home and away season, and what a cracker to start it off. Essendon and the Bulldogs. Who do you fancy?
I think the Bulldogs I fancy at this point in time.
Bulldogs?
Matters. Actually, I had a look at this round, obviously, and...
Oh, sorry, Gary. Rohan? The Dogs?
The Dogs.
Yes.
The Dogs, Rohan.
On the record, the run has to come to an end. Pre-finals wet down.
Go, Gary.
The top 8, in fact, play each other here, I'm told, and the games on Sunday are irrelevant, so you might as well wipe them and not play them to him. But all others are very interesting.
We're looking forward to that Super Sunday with 3 games between 6 sides, none of whom are in the 8, and the traditional clash of, what is it, 12th versus 14th or something, Connolly Carlton?
Yeah, fantastic game. It's always a traditional
No
clash.
matter where they are on the ladder,
Tell you what, I'm not going out Saturday night, Adelaide and North.
Oh, that will be a clinker.
And
There's no doubt about that.
We should have asked Colo, what was the Monday night thinking? Can someone tell me
Channel
why?
7, 2 words, Channel 7.
Monday night, a week before the finals
Oh, it's a good idea.
Is it live in Sydney, I wonder?
You're not playing.
Bit of an experiment?
I wouldn't bet on it because I think that I don't know, but I wouldn't bet on it given the... Sorry, not interrupting.
No, we'll just have
Sorry, man. Sorry, yeah.
We'll keep it going, but we'll just close the program. See you next week. Good night.
This has been a Sports AFL production.
Can you imagine this lineup of unsurpassed footballing brains dressed in women's underwear? Ron Carter Barassi, Peter Teddy Donegan, Master Hussey Half